Alrighty everybody, welcome back to How To. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make the ME system, where you can dump everything that you have in your inventory all in just one little quote-unquote chest, with a really big search bar, basically. So, you will need 4 items, minus the power source in the back powering the ME controller right here, to actually create this whole system. Actually, make that 5, including just one singular storage cell. So let's get started with the basic items, which is the ME controller. So this is what's going to divert all the power from your energy source into the whole system, and you can actually link these up to make a really cool pattern. Alright, so to start with this, so this is going to be a really long episode because ME, or the ME system is really hard to craft, and it actually takes a while to find the parts in the world because you need to find a couple of parts in the world before you can get started. Minus the fact that you have to go mining and everything else. So before I say any of these things first, you need to go out in the world and you need to find meteors out in the world. You need to dig the rocks, and in the center of each meteor, you'll find a chest with possibly 1 or 3 of these kinds of presses. And you need all 4 of them in order to actually start and do things in applied energistics. So you are going to find an inscriptor engineering press, inscriber logic press. Did I say inscriptor? No, I meant inscriber. Inscriber engineering press, inscriber logic press, an inscriber calculation press, and an inscriber silicon press. So with those 4, once you find them out in the world, you'll be able to start everything. So start at the very beginning. We have our ME controller. This is how you make an ME controller. And don't worry, I'm going to explain how to make everything at first. So in order to make the ME controller, you need skystone blocks, you need pure fluix crystals, and you need an engineering processor. So let's get started with just the simple skystone blocks. So in order to make a skystone block, all you need to do is actually dig up the skystone that you find at the meteor crash site, and all you need to do is just smelt it in a furnace, or in an induction smelter, or any other thing that will smelt an item. So with that, you already have 4 out of 9 done. So there you go. So let's get into a little bit more of a tedious and like crazy long task. So in order to make a pure fluix crystal, you are going to need to drop something into water and wait for it to grow in the water. So let me explain to you what I mean. So first, you will need a pure fluix crystal. In order to make a pure fluix crystal, you will need to have fluix dust and combine that in a crafting bench or in your inventory with a piece of sand. From there, you move on to the water source. So once you get the fluix seed, which is made from those 2 items that I told you before, you will need to drop it in a water source, and then after a while, it will turn into a pure fluix crystal. So in the, let's see, where was that description that I found? Right here. So dropping a fluix seed made from fluix dust and sand into a puddle of water to make the process faster, add a crystal growth accelerator. So ignore the second half of that just for a second. So this whole process will take place just over here. So we have different types of seeds, and I've dropped these in a while ago. So this is where the real slow, painful part comes in. So you can see these are 2% done, and so you have nether quartz seeds, you have fluix seeds, and you have certus quartz seeds. So these items won't actually despawn, like they say in the title or in the little note right there. They won't despawn. What you literally do, make a hole, put some water in, press Q or whatever your drop button is, and you wait and play the Jeopardy song for ages and ages. And literally, so you can tell they're actually growing because there are tiny particle effects going right next to them. So from there, if you actually have the materials and you've already done this, because you can't actually make the crystal growth accelerator without basically doing this process first and waiting out legitimately, this is how you would use the growth accelerator. So this is the actual accelerator itself. The recipe is as so: iron, quartz glass, a bunch of other cables, and a fluix block, which is made from this. So with this, you need a power source, which is where the ME controller comes in, and this is just a creative capacitor that I have next to it. So with these, I actually put these in second. Those went in first. Let's see what the process or progress in this set is. So already, 2%. Weird. Well, anyway, the growth accelerator is supposed to work, so let's just leave those in for now, and, well, we'll just have to wait. So, in the meantime, in order to actually make a couple of these things, so for instance, you can find sand out in the middle of anywhere, and you can find water anywhere. So, in order to make the Fluix dust, what you need to do is you need to take a regular Fluix crystal and put it through a grindstone, a quartz grindstone. And to quickly make a grindstone, you need either Certus quartz or nether quartz. I suggest nether quartz because it's much cheaper and easier to get. A bit of stone, any kind of stone, a bit of cobblestone, and a wood gear, which is just made out of 4 sticks. And also the wooden crank to put on top is just sticks in this shape. So what you do is, and you've seen me use it before in series, in like other videos I've made. Once you put this in, you just grind it up, and you get Fluix dust. So in order to make a Fluix crystal, you need to go up here. And so what you need to do, and this process is instantaneous. So you take a piece of redstone, a piece of charged Certus quartz, and a piece of nether quartz. You put it in a water source, and instantaneously, you'll actually get 2 Fluix crystals. So I'll actually show this process right here and right now. So you put some water down. Alright, so you put some redstone, a piece of charged Certus quartz. You actually need to be charged. And then you put those together, and boom! You get 2 right away. There you go, Fluix crystals. Alright, let's replace that, and let's put the Fluix crystal stuff away. So once you actually get that, you can continue with your process, but in order to actually find or get charged Certus quartz, here's how you do it. So rarely in the world, you'll actually find charged Certus quartz out randomly in wire mining. So if you actually do find some, go get them. A second way that you can actually make Certus quartz charged. Another way that you can actually make Certus quartz have a charge in it, or like to get charged Certus quartz, is making a charger. Simple as that, and it's powered the same way using a wooden crank. So you take a regular piece of Certus quartz, you take these items. Let's see, time set 0. Oops, wrong item. There we go, just had to derp around a little bit for that, just a second. Alright, anyway, so in order to actually use the Certus quartz or charger, you need to put that down, shift click the wooden crank on top, and then just put the Certus quartz in, and spin it around a little bit until it turns a different texture, and then you actually have charged Certus quartz. So, come on, come on. Almost there? There we go. Now we have a piece of charged Certus quartz. Right there, boom. Alright, so one way to actually make, I'm not actually sure how to make a charger. I didn't really look. Alright, so you take Fluix crystals, which is really easy to make. Just put those 3 things into a puddle. You take 2 of those and then put iron ingots in this shape, and you should get the charger. So simple as that. Alright, so moving along from that, from this whole long process, you'll actually be able to make pure Fluix crystals. So this is actually one of the hardest and longest processes in making the ME system, because you have to literally wait for this whole thing to grow and go on and on forever. It's just really annoying. So the last part would be the engineering processor. So this will actually require a special item called an inscriber. So let's just go straight for this. In order to actually make the engineering processor, what you need is an inscriber and 3 other things: printed silicon, a piece of redstone, and then printed engineering circuit. Now from here, we shall look at the inscriber first, because it's a crucial tool that you'll be using over and over again. So in order to make the inscriber, you'll need the following recipe. You'll need a Fluix crystal or a pure Fluix crystal. I think this would be a lot cheaper, just saying. 5 pieces of iron, and then 2 sticky pistons right here and here. And that will make you your inscriber. From there, well actually, first... actually no, everything from here should be self-explanatory from the Fluix crystals. The sticky piston, just make a piston with a bit of jelly on top. And then, in order to make a piston, iron, redstone, cobblestone, and any kind of planks. Alright, so from there, let's see. The 3 parts that you actually need to put all these things together, we need a printed silicon, redstone, and then a printed engineering circuit. So you obviously know where to find redstone, just any ore in the world. So let's go to the printed silicon. In order to make printed silicon, you need that inscriber, you need one of those presses that I was talking about earlier, and you're going to need a piece of silicon. Let's quickly toggle the rain. There we go. Now you need to put that all together, and also the inscriber will need some power as well. So find the power source and charge it up. So you'll find this out in the world, and in order to find silicon, you actually need to make a sag mill. So the recipe for a sag mill, I've done it in a previous episode of How To. It's 3 flint, 4 iron, a piston, and a machine chassis. The machine chassis is iron bars, more iron, and a basic capacitor. A basic capacitor is copper, 4 gold nuggets, and 2 redstone. So from there, the best chance for getting silicon is through a block of clay, but there are other ways. So using a sag mill, you can have clay, you can have redstone ore, you can have sand or red sand, but the chances of getting silicon are lower. So the best way is going to be clay, because it's an 80% chance. So once you get the sag mill, power it and get your silicon. So when you get your silicon, put it through the presser or inscriber to make our printed silicon. And now we just need one more item, the printed engineering circuit. So you're going to need one more press that I mentioned before for this whole little system, or this part of the system. You need a diamond, you'll need the inscriber engineering press, and then you put that into the inscriber. Once the inscriber presses those together, you'll get that. You'll put them all together in here. You'll make your engineering processor, and bada bing, bada boom, you have everything in here to make your ME controller. That is one part of the whole ME system. Whew! Applied Energistics definitely got really complicated. So this is completely everything that you'll need to know for just one part of that. Alright, but definitely, this system is completely worth it. So anyway, let's move on to the ME drive. So the ME drive is where you put your storage cards, and this is where all your items are actually stored. So in order to make the ME drive, this is the recipe. 2 engineering processors, like I said before, iron ingots, and then ME glass cables. Alright, so quick review. Engineering processor made from this recipe, printed silicon, redstone, printed engineering circuit. Rewind the video to look at the tutorial right over there. But let's see, let's go on to the ME glass cable. The ME glass cable is used with Fluix crystals or pure Fluix crystals. I think this one will be a lot more simpler and more cheaper, but anyway. You'll need 2 of these, and then you'll need something called quartz fiber, and that will make you, I think 4, actually. Yeah, you'll make 4 ME glass cables from this recipe. So, Fluix crystals, I've already explained how to make them. Just throw a bunch of things into a puddle of water, and you'll get them instantaneously. But let's look at the quartz fiber. Actually, no. There you go. There's the recipe for the Fluix crystals. Water plus those 3. Alright, so for the quartz fiber, you're going to need a couple of things. So you're going to need any type of glass, usually probably just use regular glass, and you're going to need Certus quartz dust, or you can replace it with nether quartz dust. Either of these 2 recipes or a mixture of either would work. So you can put it in this order and it'll still make you your fiber. Alright, in order to get the dust, you're going to have to put either nether quartz or Certus quartz within a grinder. After you get that, you'll get the dust. Simple as that. So put all that together, you'll get your ME glass cable, and that will be this little cable back here. So without this, you'll actually have to do this. Let's see. Let's get our one of the terminals. So in order to actually place this down, you need a cable back there, because how do I, if I place a block right here, no, that's not correct. So you're definitely going to need this cable, and also, whoops, that was not the right button. But anyway, these cables are actually very crucial to what you'll need in going further into AE 2. Alright, so there we go. Put all those back in here. There we go. We can actually use the ME terminal. So that would be just the ME drive. Simple as that. Alright, so moving on. So you have 2 choices of terminals. If you want to actually use a crafting table within the terminal, that's going to be the more expensive and more advanced version. But for now, we'll just use the terminal that is called just an ME terminal. So what this terminal does is you just get to access whatever is in here. It's just one gigantic inventory screen. You'll get to see everything in here, but this one, the ME crafting terminal, you have a little crafting station right here, which I think is much better. Just saying, my opinion. Alright, so in order to actually make these terminals, let's see what we need to do. So we will start with the regular ME terminal. So what you'll need are 2 cores. for this recipe. So the recipe is a dark illuminated panel, or a bright, or just regular panel, just illuminated panel, period. You'll need a logic processor, formation core, and an annihilation core. So, these two cores, they're basically the same crafting recipe, except one is Certus quartz and one is Nether quartz. So you're going to have to make a couple of trips to Nether, or maybe just one if you have a big enough inventory. So in order to make the annihilation core, you'll just need to get some Fluix dust, grinding it up in the grinder, a logic processor, I'll show you that later, and then a Nether quartz, and Certus quartz for the other one, for the formation core. Now, for the ME terminal, actually, I just mentioned this. Alright, so those are the cores for both of them. So, let's see, let's go with the logic processor first. Simple and easy, printed silicon, I already showed you how to make that before, redstone, and then printed logic circuit inside of an inscriber. So the printed logic circuit comes from an inscriber logic press, one of the presses you need to find in a meteor, with a gold ingot inside an inscriber. Remember, you need power for the inscriber. That'll get you this. So now after that, you'll get to put all these together and you'll get a logic processor, and that is 1 out of 4. So actually 3 out of 4, because I already taught you how to make the cores. Alright, so for the bright illuminated panels, or any kind of the illuminated panels, you're going to need to do a couple things. So all in all, this is the recipe that you'll need for any kind of panel or illuminated panel. You can just change it by putting it through your crafting table again. So, which is why I'm showing you an illuminated panel going through a crafting station will go to a bright illuminated panel. I can actually show you right now. So right there, bright, dark, illuminated, bright, dark, regular. So there you go. So the crafting recipe for the illuminated panel is 2 glowstone, an iron, a piece of redstone, and then this weird quartz glass. So in order to make this quartz glass, you're going to have to go to the nether or dig around for a little bit, and also get some more sand to smelt. You're going to have to need 5 Certus quartz dust from the grindstone and 4 glass, or you're going to need 4 glass and 5 nether quartz dust. It doesn't really matter, you can use either. And that will give you, I believe, more than 1? Yeah, each recipe will give you 4 quartz glass. So there you go. That's how you make the regular ME terminal from the bright illuminated stuff and everything. Now, that will give you the ME terminal, and if you're happy with that, you can just plainly use it, dump everything in here, that's perfectly fine. But in my preference, I prefer to have the crafting terminal right here, because it makes life so much easier. Alright, so let's go back to time set 0, and there you go. So for the crafting terminal, you will need the following. So you'll need that ME terminal that I've showed you right before. So if you want to upgrade your terminal, this is how you do it. Take your ME terminal, take a regular crafting bench, which is just made from 4 wooden planks, and then you'll need a calculation processor, and that will give you your ME crafting terminal. So the calculation processor is a little bit, not really, it's the same thing with the inscriber. You'll need printed silicon, redstone, and then the printed calculation circuit itself inside of an inscriber. The printed calculation circuit comes from a pure Certus quartz crystal, and I'm sorry, there's no way to go around that. You're going to have to go all the way back to the ground or to the puddle to actually grow this, unless you have a growth accelerator, but either way, this one's going to be a little bit harder. So you'll need a calculation press, which you'll find in a meteor, hopefully, because you're going to have to go through many meteors. And then you'll put that in an inscriber, and you'll get the printed calculation circuit. Now, and actually to make the pure Certus quartz crystal, you're going to have to put a Certus quartz dust with a piece of sand to make the Certus quartz seed. The seed will have to go into water, and after a very long time, it's going to turn into a fully grown crystal. So if I actually show you this, C-R-Y-S-T-A-L. So if I go all the way down here, it doesn't look like it. So let me try to show you, or try to find it. So let's see, where is it? Here we go. Here are the seeds. So these are the seeds that are only at 0%, and these are the seeds at 33% grown. 66, and after the 66, it becomes at 100%, and those will become these things, the pure full crystals. Now that you have that, you can have the terminal, and now there you go. You have 3 out of 4, actually 3 out of 5. No, actually 4 out of 5, because I taught you how to get the thing back here. So after that, you're going to need some space to actually store the items that you want to put in here. So right now this is the most expensive, I think, out of all the storage cells. So ignore the 64K ME storage cell. I'm actually going to just show you the really basic one for now. So back here, the storage cell cards. A regular 1K ME storage cell is made from the following: a couple iron ingots on the bottom, couple redstone, two quartz glass, and then this weird 1K ME storage component in the middle. In order to actually make that, it's the same thing that we've been doing from the very beginning. You need some Certus quartz, and I would say just use Certus quartz because all these are alternating between charged and pure. Just use regular Certus quartz. You need 4 Certus quartz in the sides, redstone at the very sides, and then in the middle is a logic processor. And I already showed you how to make this. Put it in the scriber inside of all this, and bada bing bada boom, put all this together and you have some amazing storage. Now you can put all of this into here. Just don't forget the power source in the back. Maybe a capacitor will work. It will definitely work because capacitor right next to the ME controller into the machine. So before I go, I'm going to show you actually how complicated this extremely high storage cell can be. So this is how crazy ME or Applied Energistics can get. So in order to make the 64 ME storage cell, you're going to need the following. You just need the same thing, except you're going to need this, the 64 ME storage component, which is made out of engineering processors, glowstone, quartz glass, and then 16 ME storage component. What makes that? Same exact recipe, except it only makes one, and you need a 4K. How do you make a 4K? You're going to do the same thing, but except with a calculation processor with 3 1K ME storage, and that goes back to the recipe here. So in order to make a 64K, you're going to need 164K, 316K, 3 times 3, 9 4Ks, and 9 times 3, 27 1Ks. I think my math is correct. But anyway, it's going to be a lot of materials because you're going to need a lot of things to make just one of these. So, all in all, hopefully you'll go mining a lot. So quickly before I end this episode, let's see what the process in these seeds are. So 5%, 5%, there we go. And what about these guys? 6%, 6%, there we go. So the growth accelerator is a tiny bit faster because I put these without the accelerator in first, and then I put the accelerator in second. So there you go, 6% and then 5% comparison. So that is how you make your ME system. So you can obviously do a lot more in AE or Applied Energistics than just having this little system. You can actually have auto crafting in this whole system, which I haven't actually a clue how to do that. So I'm sorry, you'll have to find another tutorial unless I do the research later on. But anyway, this is how you make the basic ME system. And trust me, you're going to need a lot of storage cells. So make maybe 8 of these 1K cells. And my suggestion is you're going to run out of item types. So you can see that an ME storage cell has 2 criteria. It has bytes used and then types. The bytes is just how many items you can store inside of the card, and then the types will be this different amount of items. So iron is different from redstone, is different from quartz glass, is different from this item. So in total, all these items would equal 4 items into this cell. So let me take this out. Let me actually show you. Take all these out. So we have just this one card in here. We will put all these items in here, and it will say that we have 4 out of 63 types used. Now 32, not exactly sure how they calculate that, but either way. So that is exactly how that works. So I would definitely recommend making a lot of just 1K ME storage cells, because I always run out of item types before I run out of bytes of storage. So other than that, I thank you for watching for my video. That's how you make the ME system. So hopefully you find that interesting and helpful. Leave a like and share this video if you know somebody who's having trouble with AE, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.